What's going on, YouTube? I'm coming back to you today with another video on one of my project cars, and today is a pretty special video. We're going to be working on my 1989 BMW E30 325 IS convertible, and right now the car is completely stock. It has diving boards. There's nothing like looks wise done to it, except I have some clear taillights on it, and then I have the German plate filler in between the taillights. But besides that, everything is stock. But the car does have like a lot of performance mods already. It has an S52 swap. It has the 5-speed manual from E36, M50 intake, M50 computer with a tune for S52. It has a full custom exhaust system. It's on race suspension, BBS wheels. Everything mechanically is set, but today we're going to be installing my body kit. So today we're gonna focus on the front and rear bumpers. So let me show you guys the whole body kit.
All right, guys, so this is what it is. If you know anything about BMW E30s, you'll know that there was an early model and a late model version, which have different applicable body kits. So this is the early model Mtech 1 body kit for E30s, and specifically this one is for the convertibles. I also have the spoiler, the rear bumper, and the Mtech 1 side skirts, both of them. And you can see I have the arched ones, which goes into your fender flares to kind of give your car a wider stance, at least in appearance. And something else is this body kit is fully carbon Kevlar laced, so it's very lightweight, super lightweight. See, I can pick this whole thing up with one hand, straight, arm straight out, lift it up a good amount. You can see it's super lightweight, so this is a very good body kit to go on. And it is actually going to drop my weight a little bit. I have to go get these painted, so they're going to get paint matched in Alpine White 218, which is what my car is. And I have some more stuff to show you guys. I'll show you guys my Euro bumpers right now. You can see I got all the chrome pieces laid out in one area, and then in the other area I have all of the trim pieces. So all of that's going to go together in a different video. Alright, so right now I just have the Euro bumpers sitting on top of the Mtech 1 from Valances. You can see the kit that I bought, it doesn't come with any cutouts, but you can kind of see, you can't really see it on this side. I'm going to go on to this side. Kind of see that it's marked. You can see a little indent. That's where you're supposed to drill in, and then that's going to go bolt into right there. And same thing on the other side. Alright, guys, so I drilled those holes. I just lined this piece up how it's supposed to go, drilled the hole, because there's already a hole here, so I just marked it and I drilled the hole into the valance. Then right here there's a hole in the bumper already, so I marked it, drilled into it. Then here as well, there's already a hole in the bumper, so I marked it, drilled into it, and bolted it. And you can see it's sitting pretty good right now. This hole, this hole, this hole, this hole, this hole, and this hole you're gonna need to drill out. Alright, guys, so for these trim pieces, depending on the kit you have, if you have a kit like mine where the ends are kind of flared upwards like that, what you're gonna have to do to get these to fit on is to cut this bottom piece off. If you have like the Garagistic kit, or like any kit where the flared ends aren't there, you do not have to cut those off. Like the Garagistic kit, these will fit on it perfectly fine. But if you have a kit like I have with the flared ends, you're gonna have to cut this off. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So here are the pieces are. What I did, I'm at work right now, but I just took a bandsaw in my job and cut those pieces off. You can see it's just the top piece, so should be able to go right. Alright, so I adjusted the rear fitment. And for the most part, it is just marked where you have to drill. But first, line it up yourself first, because you can see on this one, I drilled where it was marked, and I actually ended up having to drill another hole, move it down. And this you can see there's a ridge in it. You want that to line up with the bumper because the trim piece is gonna go over that. And if it's hidden that corner, it's not gonna line up correctly. I would say put like one hole right here, put something in there, and then line up both of these sides. And the valance isn't gonna sit straight across. It's gonna kind of sit down like that. So at the rear bumper here, I'm installing the trim piece. So I finally got these bolts in. Bought them off of Classic Euro Parts. I'll give you guys the part numbers. But pretty much you just slide it into here like so. And then I have all of them sitting right there, but you're just gonna line them up with all of these holes that you drilled out and push them in there. For the brackets, the bumper brackets, you want to put them on first because once you put the trim piece on, there'll be no way to install the brackets onto the bumper. So I just put the bolt in. I drilled this hole bigger because I wanted the square thing to be able to fit through. So I put the bolt in, put on the bracket, and then bolted it. But I have these two installed just to hold it into place because it won't want to like bolt up if those aren't in place. So I got all of the trim pieces in, and there is a specific way the trim piece has to go in. You can see it's kind of slanted. You want it to slant in the same direction as the bumper on both sides. But rear trim piece is in. It's kind of a little bit annoying, and you'll notice that there's like these little gaps here, and that's because on the Mtech kit there's like a little rubber piece that goes there, but I don't have that piece, so there's gonna be a slight gap in some spots, like especially right here. But what you can do is there's another hole here. If you put all of the bolts in, you might be able to kind of pull it enough that the gap won't be as visible. But like this side is a little bit better too. Like I don't have the gap on this side. It's just right here that the gap is visible. So yeah, you kind of gotta just keep pulling it and bolting it in, and you'll get it to where you need it to be. But it's looking good. Now to test fit it on the car and then get it painted. Alright, so now we're gonna put together the front bumper with the valance. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is get this long trim piece and get two of these. Then you're gonna grab the trim piece, and on both sides you can kind of see where the bolt is right there. There's two slots that it'll slide into. Slide it into there, put this on, and then you want to bolt them on like so. Then you want to grab this piece, and remember I had cut off this bottom part, and that's gonna go right here. So let me pick up the bumper again. There's this black one, and you're gonna grab the two things and put one here and one here. Golly, man. This is lifted up. One of the bolts is gonna go through there, and the little black part is gonna go in through that bottom hole, and then the other one is gonna go in through that hole, and you're gonna tighten it just like you tighten this one. So now that you got that part on, what you want to do before you tighten it is pull this up so that it meets this here and tighten it. And that way the fitment will be perfect. So what I did, I expanded these holes a little bit so that it allowed for a little bit of movement. And same thing on the other side, you want to just pull up and tighten it. I'm gonna come back. These are gonna go back in the same way that they were in with just normal Euro bumpers, with these two black screws right there and right there. So just pop that in, screw it in, and then the whole thing will be together. Let me show you guys the final result. Then when you're ready, you're gonna take this and put it in there and push it through on both sides. I would only recommend to do this when your bumper's painted and everything is ready to go onto the car, because these will lock. See, those expand and lock it in. So I'm not gonna put those on right now. But when you're finally ready to put the body kit on, you're gonna just put those through, push it, and it'll clip into the back there. And then when you're ready to put your Euro plate on, this is how the car was sitting from after I took the US diving board bumpers off. I had made a video on how to do that. And so pretty much I just cleaned up the car, and this is the before and afters. Alright, so I cleaned up the front and rear ends a little bit. And then now I'm gonna be putting on my brackets. We're just gonna put it like so. Let me try to get this thing so that you guys can see what is going on. So yeah, just go in with the 13 and tighten it up. Just keep tightening until it touches. That's on, you're good. So according to BMW, you're gonna need to drill 2 holes for the rear brackets. Where you need to put it at is there's a dimple right here and a dimple right here. You're gonna do it on the left. All right, if you're looking from the inside of the trunk, it's the right dimple. On both sides, it's the right dimple. And why is it on both sides? It's because the brackets are the same way for both sides. So you're gonna drill a hole in the same location on both sides. There you go. So you'll see on the bumper, there's this hole here, and that is for the tow hook to go through, but on this side, it's not there. So we have the tow hook here, and then on this side, we cut the tow hook off. I put some paint over it a little bit to kind of help it, and now we're gonna test fit the bumper on. I'll be back when the bumper's on and kind of show you how to put it on too. Alright, so I'm here test fitting the bumper onto the car, and I kind of noticed that this side wasn't sitting good on the car. It was kind of sitting outwards like that. So I just took it apart and bolted each part to the car, and you can see there it's fitting pretty good. I'm gonna have to bring it up a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. But what I did notice is when I put these 2 parts together for it to fit good like that, there's this whole more piece of metal kind of blocking me from getting that good fitment. So I have this part unbolted, and I got my file out again, and I'm just and I'm gonna just keep doing that until all of this black is gone. That's where I marked the hole to line up with. So yeah, I'll be back when that's done. Just sitting right here, and if I push it how it's supposed to be, we're barely a gap, barely any gap. Come all the way around on the other side, push it up where it's supposed to be at. Same thing, barely any gap. So that's the best fitment I'm gonna get on the front bumper. I think so. And let me start with the rear bumper now. This whole thing's gonna have to come back on, test fit my body kit, etc., but just bumper fitment, I'm happy with this bumper fitment. And not everything is tightened up yet. This needs to tighten up more, and that'll kind of bring this up a bit. But that fitment there is perfect. So the fitment in the front is BMW standards. Touching here, and then
right here, the corner piece is right at the top. And then same thing on the other side. So I had the BMW standard fitment. And then I just have the rear chrome bumper on. Nothing is fully bolted up yet except for the brackets. But what I mean by that is onto the bumper, like this, I have this in there and I have this in there just to hold it in, but the bottom isn't on. I don't have the sides on. I just have this bolted in and that's holding it up. But on these brackets, it allows for a little bit of movement. So you want to kind of put the brackets on loose. And then even if you have the Mtech bumper on, you can kind of reach up in there, behind there, and get to this bolt on a bracket. Adjust the bumper to how you want it. So you can see this is a good marker. It's about 2/8 of an inch. And on the other side, it's also about 2/8 of an inch. So that's perfect. So the body kit is back from paint. Right now I'm mounting the front bumper. So pretty much to mount the valance onto the front bumper, you could do it any number of ways. You could just put it onto the valance and then, or onto the bumper and then put it onto the car. But I like my to be like perfect, completely perfect. So what I'm gonna do is I put the front bumper on, just these two bolts here, onto those bumper brackets. Then I took these two screws and lined them up and just tightened them down just a little bit. This one I'm gonna tighten down more. When I tighten it down just a little bit, and then I'm going to install these side trim pieces. It's a little bit tight, but you can get it in. And then once the side trim pieces are on, I'm gonna tighten those two completely down and then take the whole front bumper off the car, get all of the other trim pieces on, and then put it onto the car for the final time. But it's looking really good so far. So like I said, I'm gonna put these side trim pieces in so then I can align the bumper correctly. So to get it in, you just wanna push it in. You gotta put the two clips on these two things, then push it through the holes. This one you can get to through this hole. Just tighten that a little bit. See, it's on there. And then for this one in the back, you wanna loosen this up a little bit. It's a 13. And then, all right, so I low-key have everything on, so I'm gonna just go over a quick recap of what you need to do to get all of the parts installed. So for the rear bumper, there's some adjustment in the brackets. So you wanna have this. So this is a good way to measure. Go to this little line right here and come to this thing. This is 3/16 this side, and this side is also 3/16, and then you can see it sits perfectly on both sides. There's gonna be one bolt on the inside here that you need to bolt in. Then for the brackets, what I did, I kind of adjusted it how I wanted to, then reached my arm underneath here. It's a really, really tight space, so if you guys are big, get somebody with thin arms that they could at least fit their hand up in there and tighten that down as you hold it in place, because you have to hold this whole thing up while you tighten it, otherwise it'll sit down. Then after you tighten those brackets, you want to tighten this nut here. Again, pull up on the bumper and tighten it. Same thing on the other side. Then there's going to be two bolts down here where the original bolts were. You want to tighten those as well, where the original bumper brackets were for your diving boards. Tighten those. Then the bumper will be on, but then you still got to put these end caps on. So for the end caps, there's going to be one bolt on the inside of the quarter panel right here. Put it through and tighten it. This is for the convertible style. The coupe style has attachment to the bumper itself that you can tighten the end cap to the bumper itself, but for the convertible style, it's going to be just one bolt on the inside of the quarter panel. And that's about it for the rear bumper. For the front bumper, you're going to have these two nuts that go onto the brackets. They're behind these caps. Once you tighten that down, also same thing, pull up while you tighten it so that you could get that flush fitment. Then tighten the 2 nuts, put those caps over the nuts once you have those tightened how you want it. Then same deal over here, pull up and tighten. There's a bolt, a screw that attaches to a clip on the inside of the metal bracket, and that will be underneath the fender, like around here. Same thing as the other side. And then on this side, this lip was not sitting flush like how it is right now. So what we had did was we took this cap off, pushed it up, and tightened it so that it sits flush against the fender like that. And same thing on the other side. So that's the front and rear bumpers on. You're gonna have a slight gap around this side. That's completely normal. And same thing on the other side. And then same thing on the front bumpers. That's just how these old school German cars are made. You're gonna have a slight gap on the edges. But that's how they came from the factory, these cars. So yeah, that's about it. The rear bumper with my swap, I actually had to drop down the muffler a little bit. So what I did, I took the original bracket and I put it backwards so that instead of, if you know the original bracket, it's a rubber piece right here. Then the metal piece attaches to the rubber piece here. It goes down and then there's a curve, like a little dock this side. And then that dock has the metal bolt that goes through it and tightens up to your muffler. If you have that type of exhaust hanger, you want to just flip it around so that instead of the curve being going to that way, it goes to this way towards the left quarter panel or the driver's side quarter panel. And then you'll have a little bit of more adjustment that you could bring it to the left. Then I had tightened it up, but it was sitting completely flush to this bumper, and that'll burn the bumper. So what I did, I got a longer bolt. I'll put the size of the bolt, like the threading of the bolt, but I just got a longer one, and I bent the bracket a little bit, tightened it up in there, then unbent the bracket. And then what I did, I put it onto the car, and I got a 1-inch spacer or a 1.5-inch spacer, and I put it in there with the longer bolt, and I threaded the nut on top. And now you can see my exhaust sits completely how I want it to. It's about 1 inch down from the bumper, which is perfect. So that's what I did for my exhaust solution. And that's about it, guys. So this is the final results of the kit. I'll put a before and after. Front apron, my side skirts, my rear bumper, and my spoiler. Car is looking immaculate. Right now, I'm in search of some Euro fog lights for my Mtech Valance. And also, I'm looking for the Euro Weave 15-inch ones of these wheels. They're also known as BBS RZ320 or BMW Styling 5. The wheel specs are 15x7 by ET24. If anybody knows where I could get a set of those, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I'm very happy with the results of the vehicle. It looks incredible. So, all that chrome, man, it's blinging. So I'm gonna put a little side-by-side comparison of this car before and after the body kit. But yeah, that's about it for today's video, guys. If it helped you out, make sure you leave a like. Also, if you're interested in seeing more about my BMW, so hit the subscribe button so you could stay up to date about the future uploads. And also, if you're interested in any of my other projects, we have many cars. We have this is my 1980 Corolla. We have 3 of these Ford Anglias. There's one here, and then there's one in the back over there, which is my one. Many other cars. E36 here, E36 here. We got these Mercury Capris. We have 3 of them. I also have one. Just many cars we have. We have 2 Cutlasses. We have another E30, another E30, 2 more E36s. A Honda CR-V, Toyota Super Mark III. If you're interested in seeing any of those projects in the future, also hit a subscribe button and you'll see whenever I upload another video. That's about it though. Peace.